Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Satisfactory. I'm X in a Vault, and today we're still in the Blue Crater Lake. You know what I mean? We're still here. We're still dealing with this stuff. But we did do a little bit of stuff in the last episode that we're going to expand upon. So before I get started, do me a quick favor. Scroll down just a little bit. Hit that subscribe button. It's completely free to you. Helps the channel out a lot. And yeah. So with that out of the way, let's hop right into this. All right. So quick little recap. Last time we built that guy right there. That is the train station at our main base that is going to handle kind of the input, or I guess the output. I guess the output? We're producing stuff here. I don't know. It's getting all the stuff from the Blue Crater Lake, right? And so to do that, you know, these two lines right here are going to kind of serve as like a world or a global line. So I had to make a little junction here, a little offshoot, right? That we're going to go down. I'm going to be using, so I'm still undecided about this. I think for a design as far as train supports and things of that nature, I think I'm going to kind of stick to whatever the theme of the area is, right? So here we use a lot of concrete and we use a lot of frame foundations for like support and things like that. So I'm going to kind of be keeping that theme going as we do this, but I got a couple 2 meter, I think those are the 2 meter double foundations to kind of ramp down. And yeah, this is like a pretty straightforward process here. Now, the whole, this is going to be split up into 2 separate train stations, right? On the same line. So inline train stations. And that's going to be grabbing all of these resources over here. And yeah, transporting it back to the base, right? And yeah, so down here, this one is going to handle those two. So it's a copper and a caterium. That's 480 iron ore per minute and a limestone node, right? So this is all pretty simple from what I've gathered in testing all this out, right? So let's go ahead and we're going to kind of set up our stuff here. We need a train station. Now, I need to make sure. I believe it's centered on that. Yeah, centered on this foundation. Let's just push it all the way to the end. Exactly like that. And now we have to remember. I know we kind of talked about this, but I'll go over it again real quick. Based on the number of resources we're gathering here, I'm doing every 480 resources per minute of any given type in one car, right? So these 4 normal nodes on a Mark II miner, this is 480 per minute. This is its own car. I've only got 2 copper nodes in this biome that I'm grabbing. They're just going to get their own car, right? An impure and a normal, so that's not even 480. I've only got 1 caterium node. That's getting its own car. Same thing, limestone, I might put it into 2 cars. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. Just, yeah, well, probably 2 just for the fun of it. And then the rest of this iron here is going into its own car, right? And then this will also be. So quite a bit of stuff. So yeah, so let's get all this stuff built real quick. And I think it's worth it to kind of have a discussion about when to use trains versus when to use belts, right? Because you can make the argument that these nodes specifically are kind of close enough to the main base that we could probably just belt them over, right? And it wouldn't really be that big of a deal. And so you kind of have to, I mean, it's kind of like a personal decision, right? Like how much work, or is the work to set up trains worth whatever you're getting out of it? And on some level, you know, you can be very like, I don't know, you can be very like straightforward with it. But there's also kind of like a fun factor, right? So like, yes, while I could belt this stuff right back to the main base, I think it's just more fun to put it on a train, right? So that's what I have set up here, right? So I set up kind of a central like pathway for all this stuff to flow towards the train station that we have a little bit more built out, right? I did just a little bit of decor, right? So we follow these lines down. Now this is obviously not powered up because this is only a portion of the train station, right? But it's all just kind of coming through here, sneaking in, and then going down. And then what I'm doing for the platforms, though, is I'm kind of trying to make them supported like this. I just think, you know, we've got a lot of these frame foundations, like I mentioned, and I think it just looks kind of good, you know. I don't know if we'll get something up top. Maybe we will, but yeah, the platform is also, and I just think it looks really cool, kind of just coming through the support there. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that's super cool, right? And yeah, so I've labeled everything, and I may have mentioned this in the last episode, but I'll speak about it again. When you're unloading or loading a train, you want to have these industrial storage containers on here, because it's a much bigger deal, I think, for offloading than it is for inputting. But when the train is doing its loading or unloading animation, the output from the freight platform will just stop, right? It'll just pause. So when you have 2 of these, you essentially can offload the train, the depot, faster than your main output belt, so that when that pause animation happens, you have enough buffer in here that can handle that disruption, right? So there will be a pause on these lines, but there shouldn't be a pause on this line. I know obviously this one's going in right now, but the same principle exists for going out too, right? So that's kind of why you'll see I've got these for, well, really so that the miners can keep working while the train station is doing its thing, right? Just literally acting as a buffer. And the same thing for the other side too, right? So okay, so now that we have this, right, and we have 6, we're going to have 6 freight cars, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I just left some empty stations at the end for, you know, growth, right? Growth opportunities. So now what we got to do, we're going to be going, let's see, our platform runs, okay, so we're here. Our fuel plant runs like right here. So we're going to be building a freight, or our train station, like somewhere in this area, which should be like right, I want to go like right under that and then left, right? So it'll be kind of just somewhere over there. So what I'm going to do, just to kind of show you how I think about this, we're going to get our regular double ramp 2 meter, because I like the slope of it, right? And we're going to just line it up there. I think that's good. And literally just zoop it out. Like, kind of easy. At a glance, I'm wondering if that is even steep enough. You know, I guess we can just kind of... Oh, are we running into something? Oh, well, that won't do. That just won't do, unfortunately. Ooh, sorry. How about you? Can I get rid of these? I can. Nice. Nothing like a little explosive gardening, you know? Okay, so then we'll just kind of come down. I don't know, maybe there? We'll have to make some more room, right? And then it's pretty easy, you know, you just, I'm just using the 2 meter, and we just kind of zoop out to wherever we kind of want to go. And I think, like, I don't know, like, that's probably fine, honestly. Like, just going like that. Yeah, I think that's a good height. Okay, and then, again, there's a few intricacies to how we want to handle this, right? You can very easily, right, if you don't care about clipping, you just grab the train track, you know? Oh, that's not a real train track. No wonder I couldn't select it. You can just grab the railway, and you just go down. And it won't matter, right? Everything will still work. But I don't like that gap that it makes, right, under there, right? So what we're going to do, and I know I've talked about this before, but I'll say it again in case this is the first time you're seeing this. When you're transitioning on a ramp, and it's going to be kind of weird because of this train station, but usually you want to do, like, there's still going to be that gap, and honestly, Maybe I can live with that. The alternative would be to push everything out by a meter. I don't know. We'll see. But to make my point, we can do it down here to really visualize what I'm talking about. When you get to the bottom of a ramp, or the top of a ramp for that matter, what you want to do is you want to find, so here, right here is the ramp to flat portion. To make this transition nicely, you want to start one full foundation up, click it, and then you want to come down 1.5 foundations, right? So you want to be halfway onto your flat. When you do that, it makes the slope there very nice, right? So it almost looks like it's not, it almost basically looks flat on there. So you can do the exact same thing for the upper side too. Start on the ramp. Here, let me just as a example, right? So you start on the ramp here. So we'll have to do it from this way. One foundation down, and you come up and over to the middle of the first flat foundation. And when you do that, like, look at that. That's just, it's like perfect, right? So that's how you can kind of get those smooth transitions when you're going up ramps. And I believe it works even for like the steeper foundations too. Let's just grab this. Let's see. Let's start here. We'll come up and over. Yeah, I mean, a little bit more clipping on that one, which is kind of why I like using the 2 meter ones where I can help it. I know I had to get a little bit steep with it over there, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's how you can kind of minimize your clipping if necessary, right? And then the other thing is, when you're making 90s here, it takes 3 foundations to make just a solid 90, right? And what do I mean by that? Let me show you. I'm just going to put down a straight piece. But you'll notice I have 1, 2, 3 foundations, right? And then so I want to go 1, 2, 3 and start on this one right here. So I'll just take another railway and I'll just go this way and just some random length there. So now all you have to do when you have this spacing, you literally just get on this one, get on this one, boom, perfect 90. Now it's up to you how you want to deal with this part, right? Because you will have this. You can, you can just kind of maybe do something like this. It depends. Again, it depends on you, but you could do like a nice 45 where you just kind of, you go like that, a little something like that. And I believe, yeah, you have that one. Maybe actually, you could do this, right? You could do a 2 meter half foundation. And then you have a really clean, thing here. See? Now it's a little bit bigger. You could, if you really wanted to, you know what? Maybe I will just do it. You could do the same thing back here. Because you don't necessarily, well, I don't necessarily want like a massive, like foundation. So you could do something like this. You guys know how much I'd use 45s, right? So you could do something like this. And yeah, it gets a little thick. Really, I'm looking at this corner and this corner. I think, hold on. I think you could even like mess around like this if you wanted to. If you really want to make it like tight. Something like that. Like, I think that just would sneak in there. All right, you just kind of, you just got to get it in there, right? Here, let me do it from this side. Let's see. I know, we got on a tangent with this, but now I have to see it through. So you could even do that. It's a little tight, you know. But, you know, I'll leave it up to you to kind of mess around. You could, you could throw on where was that? Like a half foundation on each side, and then just do that, you know. Kind of whatever you want, right? I'll leave that up to you. But it's just some options, right? So let's go ahead and I guess build out this way, right? We need to go more. Let's build out our second train station over here and kind of get all the resources ran to it. Okay, so I have the train station made now, and you'll notice this one looks a lot different than the other ones, right? So we start off with a gap, right? Because in the first one, oh God, I don't actually, can I see it from here? Hold on. Yeah, there we go. So in the first one, we're doing limestone, right? And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I have the limestone right there. So maybe what I should do is actually get rid of this, put that on, and get that limestone. Where is it? This limestone just right into here. But this is kind of how you would load multiple cars on a train with multiple resources, right? So we're going limestone, and then this is copper, right? And if we, again, look over here, you'll notice, God, I don't know how these people, sometimes they have these things where they can just do this really quick. I have to use my mouse wheel. You notice that the second car is copper, right? So what we're doing, what I'm testing, and I think this should work. Somebody in the comments left me this, that when you add content to a already populated freight car, that it just adds the two together. And, you know, I was a little unsure about that at first, but then I remember that I've seen like people's, like on Reddit, you know, they have like an output that has a bunch of mixed stuff in it, right? And it's like, well, that makes sense to me now, because that means that you have, you're trying to load into a loaded car already, right? So anyway, just kind of, I'll digress from there, but empty platforms, right? To account for the caterium and the full iron that we have, right? We're not going to put any more iron in that iron car, but we will put iron into these cars back here, because again, over here we have, you know, all these resources are taken care of. So these irons, this copper, this limestone, and this iron are all going to go into this train right here, right? So this is kind of how you would do it. You just leave an empty platform, and then you have your other platforms like later on. You know, I could have done this the other way too, right? Well, like if I was coming, if this was the first one on the station, then that station would just be empty, empty, load, load, empty, empty, you know? And that's just kind of how you do it. So that's how we're going to load from here. Now, philosophy discussions, right? I would say, generally speaking, it's a good practice to have some kind of bypass lane, right? My thought process on that, though, is that this line specifically will only ever loop into here. Like, I don't plan on having other trains. Now, what does that mean for trains? Like, would a train ever need to come in here? I don't think so, right? The trains are pretty... They pathfind, I think, into the shortest path. And this would never be the shortest path to anywhere else. For now. If it comes to the point where we're branching off from this for some reason, you know, like maybe instead of... Because right now the plan is to go straight and then kind of turn left and go down under there. If we ever decide to continue going that way for some reason, then yeah, maybe I'll need to add bypasses, right? And a bypass is literally just when the train station comes, the train line comes. So we'd probably change it so that when you're coming down here, the quote-unquote main line would actually avoid the train stations, So I'd probably have to change it from all the way up there to go like to the right or something. So to the right of this one, and then to the left, right? So that any passing by train could just continue on and around without ever interacting with the stations. And then you just have like a little split that goes into the station, and then the station splits back into the train line, right? So that's kind of what you would do if you expect to have multiple trains kind of commingling on the lines, right? But for now, because this is the only train line we have in the whole world, I'm not too concerned about it. But you know, we'll have to see as things get more complex, though, right? So, all right. Anyway, so now I need to kind of go over there, and I need to run out the world line, and also figure out how we're going to get up. And spoiler alert, I think we're going to go with a spiral, right? So that'll be kind of cool. So let's just zoop our way over there. All right. So as you can see, we are much higher now, and you can see the return path that I made, right? It kind of just branches down, and I'll go through and figure out how I'm going to do supports and all that stuff, right? So that's definitely still in process, right? And yeah, so what I did over here is I kind of just 45'd off the main line, because we want to kind of shoot for that gap over there. And you may have seen what I've been working on a little bit too, the train spiral, right? And so here's how that line kind of hits, right? We just won't talk about that little guy right there, but if I wouldn't have pointed it out, you wouldn't have noticed, just for the record, right? And yeah, but I'm actually pretty proud of what we're doing here. So I needed a way to get from way down there to way up here without, you know, I mean, look at how long we went down. Like, all of this is descending, and I wanted a way that wasn't super steep to get back up too, right? And so I'd seen videos on how to make train spirals, so I just thought, you know, let me just make my own, right? And yeah, so the way it works, right? So you're gonna come in, and the way this works is every 4 meters, I have these half foundations coming out, right? So this is a 4-meter extension. So I guess it's every 5 meters, right? But you come up, and I lined the first one up with the train here. And what happens is you just kind of rotate 90 degrees up 5 meters at a time and out 3 total foundations. And then you put a 1 meter ramp here. And when you're, you know, here, so if I get rid of this, it's actually so simple, right? Once you build up to the half here, you just grab it, go up to the next one, and here, I'll get rid of this too, so you can kind of see multiple steps of me laying this. You know, you just literally click it on there, bring it over to the middle of this foundation, this middle of this ramp, click it, and then just do the same thing, right? You just click it, and you do the same thing, and I'll just connect that back up, right? But it makes it so easy, and it's such a smooth loop. Like, look at this. And then, so, you know, we got up to a certain height, and again, I did the 1/2 foundation thing here. We get up to a certain height, and then I needed to get closer over here, so we just go straight and hit another loop, right? And I hope you have faith in me that I didn't just do this all by hand, because that'd be crazy, right? I think we can all agree that I've grown as a Satisfactory player, and I have in fact made a blueprint for this. So, and I'll show you that. It's a pretty simple thing. I say it's pretty simple. I had to change it. Train spiral. Here we go. So yeah, so this is basically all it is. It's not the Mark 1 blueprint designer isn't big enough for me to put the end pieces, so I left those out. What I also need to do is create just a central column extension piece so that I can, you know, like finish off stuff. But, you know, that's to come. And this gets you most of the way, right? Now, because of the nature of blueprints, it is, you got to kind of finagle it a little bit, right? To fit sometimes. So let's clear this. And we'll get rid of this, right? And I'll kind of show you what I mean by this. So if I was going to, and you know what, this is only a counterclockwise spiral. I should probably make a clockwise spiral as well, because I might need that, right? So I'll probably do that on stream or something, right? But if I was going to make this over here, just kind of show you the process, right? You know, there's not a good way to really like get it into position, right? And so what you would kind of need to do is when you're at the point where you're gonna kind of move. Let's see. Here. We'll just pretend we're doing it right here. So you just have to remember that this right here is 5 meters because above the base, or 4 meters, and then this foundation, right? So then what you need to do is, for example, if we're going to place this here, you need to just put, and I think it'll work like this. Well, actually, I need to go, oh, no, this will be fine. This should be fine. So if I do this, if we get rid of these, if I do this, just for, like, I think this will work. I'm starting to doubt myself now. Let's see. Let's see if this will line up. Yeah, you just kind of hold it there. Yeah, see? So that would give you the same orientation. Well, I guess it's a little bit lower because we use 2 meter foundations, but if that was a 1 meter foundation, which is, I think, what these are, then it would have lined up, right? So, but that's kind of how you would just get it started and then, you know, go from there. Yeah, I definitely need a clockwise, or yeah, opposite of this one. I think that'll come in handy. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty proud of the way this all looks, and I think it'll function really well. But in order to really test everything, I think we need to go back to the main base, and we need to run a train, and then we need to also put up those lines right there. So I'm gonna finish this track up, and then let's like get a train going through this world. Okay, so we're gonna need a locomotive, and then 6 freight cars, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so let's go ahead and hop right into this guy. Actually, here, we need to open the train menu, edit the timetable, right? And we want it to just go in a loop. Blue Crater Lake in. Okay, so intake, and then the 2 outputs, right? Save changes, and let's turn on self-driving, and let's just like give it a. I'll just kind of be quiet, and we'll just watch it in progress. Maybe I'll provide some director's commentary, actually. Right, so here, in theory, it's going to offload a whole train, right? In theory, these are all going to be full. And it'll just offload everything at once, right? Let's hope we make this switch. Looks like we should. Nice. Look at that. We got resources flowing. Heading downhill. Oh, man. I get why people love trains now. These things are so cool. Plenty of stopping speed. You see, I also went a little bit steeper on the ramp over here, too, to kind of get down faster. Notice this animation too. Notice how it's grabbing a container and bringing it over. I'm going to point out a difference here in a second, specifically about the copper car, which is the second freight car. So just pay attention to what just happened. Something I've noticed while I was doing testing. And now I hope it happens again so I don't look like an idiot. But we'll make our quick little descent here. I tried to keep as much of the terrain and foliage as I could, even though I had to get rid of some stuff, right? Okay, now watch this car. Let's see if it does it. Remember, on the first station, it grabbed a container out, right? So let's see what happens. Oh, it's doing nothing. Oh, maybe there's nothing in there to do. Huh. I'll have to check that out later. Look, we're still fine-tuning, okay? What's important is that the train just flows, okay? That's all we're looking for right now. Man, look at that. Fully loaded train, though. That's kind of sick. Oh. Yeah, I'll have to get the supports and stuff on here later. But, oh, this is like the best part, though. This is the part I'm looking forward to the most. I think it's going pretty quick, too. Just squeezing under that belt there. Look at that. Nice, smooth. Oh, man. Look at that. That is neat. It works so well. Dang. I'm actually so happy with this. You guys, I don't think you understand. This is my first ever, like, real train in Satisfactory. I've always been so intimidated. And I think we just squeezed by up here. Like, barely squeeze in. And then we just rejoin. And in theory, this is completely self-sustaining now. You know? Like, I can just hop out when it docks, and it'll just do its thing. Look at that, man. God, and now the Blue Crater Lake just looks so industrialized. Especially now there's trains going in it, too. I'm actually super happy with this. And I also really like this overpass design that I did. And so this is kind of what I mean, by the way, with like a bypass, right? Like if this train didn't need to go to the station, it could just continue on. But because it needs to go to the station, you know, it just branches off, right? And then it comes in, pops out the air brakes. I'm going to turn self-driving off. And there we go. Proof of concept completed. Oh, is it not going to offload? It's probably not going to offload. Whatever. Wow, that was actually super awesome. Now, okay. I guess there's something else that we need to address. Eventually. We don't need to do it right now because we have one train. These guys are switch indicators. I don't know. I think this is here no matter what. This switch should never activate because because the direction of travel is this way, right? But I think we're going to eventually, and I don't have them. I don't even know where they are. Might be something I have to unlock, right? But pathing signals, so block and path signals, I'm going to have to put those in like areas like this, right? Wherever trains can intersect, you're going to have to put those signals because otherwise they have the potential to crash. and I think, yeah, so that's a part of the whole train ecosystem that I'm not 100% familiar with. And so we'll definitely be playing around with that. And then, you know, now there's also the discussion about bringing in raw resources versus bringing in, you know, concrete and, you know, copper wire or something, or ingots or whatever, you know, I don't have a good answer for that on what we're gonna do. So we'll see. We'll figure it out. If we end up taking too much space up over here, just processing these resources, then it's fine. But at the current moment, I'm not super worried about it, right? And we'll have to kind of monitor how much this, or how kind of like how fast we can move resources from the Blue Crater Lake, and how quickly the stations refill, right? Because if we end up needing to run 2 trains, then we got to run 2 trains, you know, and that could be kind of cool. But we'll see. And for now, we're just gonna run 1. So, anyways, guys, I think I'm gonna call it here. Yeah, just all about trains today, and I'm super excited that we have something up and going. I'm gonna have to probably either leave this off or start syncing things, because we still have a little bit more stuff to do in the Blue Crater Lake, but we're getting pretty much close to being done here, right? So I think the next step really is we got to start doing the space elevator parts so that we can kind of move on to phase 4, and that should be pretty simple, especially now that we have resources just kind of right here. We'll have machines like right here. Yeah, it's gonna be a good day. So anyways, guys, thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and yeah, let me know, give me any comments or thoughts about how I've got my setup here in the comments, because you know, I'm always eager to learn from people who have done this stuff before. Like, give me all your tips. I will take them all. All right, guys. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you in the next one.